Most of us have been there. It is late at night, you are lying in bed, and your mind is already somewhere else. It is not resting, it is running. Through tomorrow's schedule, next week's problem, the conversation you have been putting off, the bill that is coming, the decision you have not made yet. And before you know it, 2 hours have passed and you have not slept. You have just been rehearsing a future that has not arrived. That is what worry does. It pulls you out of the present and drops you into a version of the future that may never even happen. And the exhausting part is, none of that mental rehearsal actually changes anything. The problem is still there in the morning, only now you are tired on top of it. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. Anxiety is one of the most common struggles people carry right now. And what is interesting is that thousands of years before modern psychology started studying it, Jesus addressed it directly, clearly, practically, in a single verse that most people have heard, but very few have actually sat with long enough to understand. Today, we are going to do that together. We are going to look at Matthew 6:34, break it down word by word, understand the context around it, and then talk about how to actually live it, not just quote it. Because there is a difference between knowing a scripture and letting it change how you move through your day. That is what we are here for. Matthew 6:34 says this, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Short verse, but it is the closing statement of one of the most important teachings Jesus ever gave on anxiety, trust, and how our Father wants us to live. To understand verse 34, you need to back up to verse 25, because this is not a standalone thought. Jesus builds to this conclusion. In Matthew 6:25, he opens with, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear." And then he gives two of the most beautiful illustrations in all of Scripture. He points to the birds of the air. He says, "Look at them. They do not sow, they do not reap, they do not store food in barns, and yet our Father feeds them." He then points to the wildflowers, how they grow without labor, without spinning thread, without doing anything to earn their beauty. And yet even Solomon, in all his glory, was not dressed like one of them. Jesus is making a case, a calm, intelligent, observational case. He is saying, look at creation. Look at what our Father sustains without any help from worry. And then he asks the question in verse 27 that every anxious person needs to hear. Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? The answer is no. Worry has never once extended a life, solved a problem before it arrived, or made a difficult situation easier. It only makes the person carrying it more tired. And then he closes it. Verse 34. Do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Now let us look at the language more carefully, because the original words carry more than what we see in English. The word translated as worry here comes from the Greek word merimnao, and the root meaning of that word is to be divided, to be pulled in two directions at once. When you worry, you are not fully here. Part of you is present in your current moment, and part of you has already traveled into a future scenario, playing out outcomes, bracing for impact, preparing for things that may never come. That divided state is exhausting, and Jesus names it. He does not say, stop thinking about the future. He does not say, be irresponsible or avoid planning. He says, Do not be pulled apart by it. Do not let tomorrow steal today from you. There is also something important about the word therefore at the start of verse 34. That word connects everything. It means because of everything I just said, because of the birds, the flowers, the care of our Father, the fact that worry cannot add a single hour to your life. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow. The conclusion is only as powerful as the foundation it is built on. And the foundation Jesus is building on is this: our Father sees you. He knows what you need. He is already ahead of you in every tomorrow you are afraid of today. Here is something that does not get talked about enough when people quote this verse. Worry is not just a mental habit. At its core, worry is a statement about what we believe. When we lie awake rehearsing every possible bad outcome, we are quietly operating from a place that says, I am not sure our Father will come through. I need to figure this out myself. I need to prepare, control, anticipate, because I am not fully sure I am covered. That is not a character flaw. That is a very human response to a world that has let us down before. People have let us down. Plans have fallen apart. The unexpected has happened. So the mind learns to brace. But what Jesus is inviting us into is a different way of living. Not naive, not passive, but rooted. Rooted in the reality that the same Our Father who holds the planets in place, who designed every living thing, who knew you before you were born, that our Father is not surprised by your tomorrow. He is already there. Trusting that is not the easy road. It is actually a daily practice. But it starts with understanding that worry is a weight you were never designed to carry permanently. Part 2. So what does this actually look like in real life? Because a scripture without application stays on the page. And our Father does not want this truth to stay on the page. He wants it to change how you wake up in the morning. Here are 3 practical ways to live Matthew 6:34 daily. The first one is this: narrow your focus every morning. Before you reach for your phone, before the mental calendar of the week starts spinning, ask yourself one simple question. What does today need from me? Not the whole month, not every possible outcome of every possible scenario, just today. What is right in front of me that deserves my full attention? Jesus does not say tomorrow does not matter. He says do not carry it today. There is a big difference. You can make a plan, you can prepare, but then you put it down and live today. That shift alone, from week thinking to day thinking, can reduce anxiety significantly. The second practice is learning to name and release. When a worry about the future rises up, and it will, try this. Acknowledge it out loud or in your mind. Say, that is a tomorrow problem. I will deal with it when it comes. And then, bring your attention back to what is in front of you right now. This is not denial. You are not pretending the problem does not exist. You are simply refusing to carry it before it is time. That is discipline. That is actually what Jesus is instructing. The third practice is the most important one. Bring it to our Father before you try to carry it alone. Philippians 4:6 connects directly to Matthew 6:34. It says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to our Father. Notice the order. First, prayer. Not last, not after you have exhausted every other option. First, before the worry has a chance to take root and grow, you bring it to our Father. And you bring it with thanksgiving, because gratitude reminds you of what He has already done. It reminds you that you have a track record with our Father. Every hard season you have survived, every time you thought you would not make it through, and you did, that was Him. He was already there. Prayer is not a religious routine. It is a conversation with someone who already knows the end of the story and is asking you to trust Him in the middle of it. Let me close with this. Matthew 6:34 is not asking you to be unrealistic. It is not asking you to ignore your responsibilities or pretend life is without difficulty. Jesus Himself says each day has enough trouble of its own. He knows life is hard. He walked through it. What He is asking is that you stop borrowing trouble from a future that belongs to our Father. That you stop living 5 days ahead while missing the day you are actually standing in. That you trust, really trust, that the same presence that has carried you this far is already in your tomorrow, working on your behalf, ahead of every problem you are worried about tonight. You were not built to carry next week today. You were built to walk with our Father one day at a time. That is not a limitation. That is actually freedom. So tonight, when your mind starts to race toward tomorrow, pause. Take a breath. Bring it to our Father, and then come back to today. He has tomorrow. You just focus on now.